Hello, and welcome to another episode of the STEM Stories podcast. Today we're going to hear from Emily Carlson. She's going to share her STEM story and some other ways that you can hear about all the cool things that she does. Thank you very much, Emily, for coming and joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. It's exciting to talk to you. I've been listening to your podcast, so it's nice to do things the other way around.
Yes, well, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me on the platform.
Nice. Can you tell us a little bit about what your current role is and maybe um things that you might do in your day to day?
Yeah, sure. I own a small consulting firm. It's called PBA Consulting, and the PBA stands for Powered by Authenticity, which is also the name of my podcast. And I really go in and I help. I like to say I'm a help. So if an organization needs some IT assistance, either with strategy or implementation of different projects like software, hardware, those types of things, I just come in and kind of help structure some of those projects and really, make sure that the client has, the really my background of you know, past projects and past knowledge that I have to help them into transforming their own organization. So a lot of strategy, a lot of working with leadership on things like timelines and budgets and resources, but also sometimes rolling up my sleeves and helping do some implementation work as well.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I am a bit of a process nerd, so that sounds pretty awesome.
A lot of process work, lots of process work.
It must be really interesting as well, going into lots of different companies and seeing what's happening within them and kind of learn more and more with each job.
Yeah, you definitely never have the same day twice. And then the other thing is you just get exposure to a lot of different technologies that maybe you wouldn't have. The pandemic was ripe with that, having to learn things very quickly and implement them for organizations. So my clients are typically healthcare, either
Oh,
on the insurance side, the pharmaceutical life sciences side, and then also providers, so hospital systems.
oh wow.
Mhm.
That must be really rewarding. And I mean, we've seen historically, I was talking to somebody else who was, I think, quite close to the NHS IT systems at the time when they were hacked and it caused absolute nightmares and stress
Yeah.
for everyone. But like if your expertise is healthcare, then that's an important job. Like you need somebody else to take over the expertise of IT for you.
Yeah, yeah, and there's so much to it now. I mean, you look at just telehealth as a whole, how, security behind that. And I do like to say you know, it's not a matter of, if you're going to be hacked, but a matter of when. So it's helping to reduce the risk associated with a lot of process. So, making sure that the right processes are in place, that if something does happen, that you can respond as quickly as possible so that patients aren't impacted.
Yeah, fantastic.
Mhm.
This is one of the things to be aware of. Like technology, I think, seems to evolve really quickly, which is brilliant because usually it makes our lives a lot easier. But a lot of the time when we're making our lives simpler, we're sharing more information online, and
Mhm.
probably people aren't even aware of how much can be discovered about them by people with the right knowledge to do so.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
And not to scare people, but it is worth
No,
doing.
but it's the reality of, where we are right now. And you can find anything you want online, but it's really part of what I like to help with is how do I keep that safe? How do I keep it from the bad actors who want to come into an organization and, do ill will with the information. So, that's part of what we have to really put our guardrails up for in IT.
I know for myself personally, obviously I have IT systems to manage my customers and the families that I work with. And it's quite tempting to think I'm such a small company. Like people will hack NHS and Royal Mail, but what are they going to get from hacking me? I don't think I don't think there's any difference. Like there's still funds, there's still personal information, it's still
Yep.
valuable to people.
Yep. Yeah. It was fun, not funny, but funny. I was part of a layoff in 2022,
Mm.
and I went to file for unemployment, and unbeknownst to me, somebody had actually stolen my social security number
Oh,
and
wow.
had filed unemployment benefits like 2 years before. Um, so before I could even go through the process of getting my benefits, I had to go through the process of filing fraudulent, like, claims and all of these things, and I had no idea that it happened. Like, and
Oh,
I watch, everything to do with myself online, and I had no idea that this happened.
wow. Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness. And for two
Yep.
years,
Mhm.
that would have kept on going if you hadn't have had to claim for it yourself.
Yep. Yep.
My goodness. Wow. Okay, so it's certainly worth being aware of. Like I've been told to
Absolutely.
shred. I tell you what was very handy. I was told to shred anything that had personal information on it. Um,
Mhm.
and I was never doing it until I got myself pet gerbils, and they are very good eco-friendly.
That's awesome.
Maybe not a recommendation for everybody, but it certainly helped me to be more safe online.
That's awesome.
Love the little guys. What do you think kind of led you to where you are now? Because that's quite a specific role that you have.
Yeah, so I honestly, my career journey in IT started when I had my son. I was younger, and I didn't want to leave him. I wanted to be with him, but I also wanted to work. And so I found a small computer shop in my hometown that let me bring him and his pack and play. So he could be at the desk with me. So I was putting together computers. I was learning software and installing software, and helping to support, our customers. And I fell in love with that. And then I decided that the day he went to nursery school, I enrolled in college.
Oh,
And so we got and did that together. And I thought I wanted to code. So I went to school to be a developer. But in the real world, after graduating, I was told, hey, you like to talk. That's not the best use. So they put me on a help desk, which I actually loved, and that led to training, and then that led to project management, and then that led to further being able to grow my career and the roles leading up to C-suite back in, oh gosh, it's been about 8 years or so ago.
yeah.
And it's funny, every once in a while I still dust off what I learned in school. I know enough from a technical perspective and keep my skills relevant enough where if somebody's telling me something that's probably a little bit of an exaggeration, I know it. It's part of my background, and I can call that out, and I can ask them to, share with me how they got there. The other aspect of this is being a female in technology is not always easy.
Mm.
So there are times where you do have to stand up for yourself as well. Women are still leaving the STEM career fields, and we really need to change that. Organizations and even just projects that have a more diverse group of individuals actually are more innovative. They go to market faster, they're more profitable. So we really need to try to get more women in the industry as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Big fan. I mean, there's lots of discussions on to be had around diversity.
Mhm.
There's lots of friction around mentioning the word, and when
Mhm.
I speak to people about it, I can understand why people feel uncomfortable with the idea of pushed diversity, but it is helpful, and as long as it's done with a full understanding of
Agree.
what your goals are,
Yeah,
it really can make a massive difference to the longevity of a business, and it doesn't mean
absolutely.
anybody else is getting pushed out just because we're
Right.
more diverse.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, the STEM careers need people. We are understaffed in many ways, and I think a way to help solve that is to really try to get more females involved and help them grow. Even if you don't have that full education behind you per se, but have the interest, start out start out at a help desk, start out understanding different areas of technology. Technology is a big word. STEM is a big word. There are so many fun careers that people may not know of, that are needed. And it's just fun to kind of be able to go explore those.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Mm.
I have a lovely time where sometimes I kind of regret the fact that I no longer work in my STEM lab job, but
Mhm.
now I get to hear and learn about all of them. It's like a
Mhm.
playground for me. Yeah, it's brilliant. There's brilliant opportunities, and like yourself, you've made a decision to move into a particular field, and that's just opened up even more things that were interesting to you.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
So you say that it's a field that's where women are quite underrepresented. Did you find that when you went on to study developing, you were um kind of a minority on the course?
I was one of, very few women. I'm still, one of my client sites that I'm helping with, there's, out of a group of 60, there's maybe two females that are there, and it's just sad to see.
Mhm.
One, it's hard, I think, to be promoted, and it's hard to stand out. I think there's things that you have to overcome, conversations that are uncomfortable that you have to have sometimes. But I definitely was one of the very few females who were in those coding classes back then. And unfortunately, still today, I'm sometimes the only female on a call. So it's
Mhm.
it's still a problem for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily immediately apparent why that is a problem, but there's so many examples that come out once you're in there that you can see. Like,
Mhm.
just first off, it's uncomfortable to be the only woman in the
Mhm.
environment. To be the
Yep.
only anything in the environment is uncomfortable. But there was examples like, for example, there was facial recognition software being used by a company that did that was like widely tested and launched before they discovered they didn't recognize black faces because it had never been tested
Hmm.
with black faces. And until
Yep.
somebody has actually done that, they don't know. And there's so many
Yep.
other examples of where things have been tested and then after launch discovered that they're not really suitable for the needs of women. So like you don't know this until you have a woman look at
Yeah.
it and say, this
Yeah.
doesn't work for me.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is, there's a huge push with AI. Well, AI is great, but there's still humans behind AI. There's still humans that have to develop that. And if you do not have a great cross representation of just overall diversity, then inherently there's going to be, perceived, you know, um, uh, just negative connotations that could be built into it. So you really need to make sure that across the teams that you've got that really truly differing genders, differing races, that everybody's represented, so that there's no negative connotations built into the AI.
Exactly. Yeah. Things that might not even be thought about before. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
I love it. It's always helpful to have even just different personalities in the room. Everyone's
Oh yeah.
perspective. Do
Yeah, absolutely.
you find this with working? 'Cause you work for yourself now, don't you? So
I
you are
do.
the boss. Do you ever find like you have to kind of you get control over who you work with or essentially work by yourself? You kind of cultivate your environment a little bit to reflect back some of your own personality or to reflect the opposite of your own personality a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny. I talk about when you build your own personal brand or your own personal like advisory board.
Yeah.
So it's kind of those people who are like-minded, but it's so important. Like I love the person who challenges me. So that differing opinion in the room, even when it's your own company, sometimes that can feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it's needed for growth. Like that challenge and that differing opinion just helps you grow.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It's difficult as well, especially when you are, because as you grow and you're the CEO, you may share your opinion and that doesn't come across as your opinion, it comes across as the instruction. Like, no, this is my
Right.
opinion and I want
Yeah.
yours too.
I'm craving it. Give it
Yeah.
to me. Good or bad. Tell me what you think.
I love it. So it's very different, very different. I don't think there's a few recent years where I've attended careers events specifically to talk about being self-employed, because lots of things that are around employability are about building your CV and communication skills and things that are about being employable, but not so much about being your own boss.
Hmm.
Whole other skill
Yeah.
set. Oh dear. So
Yeah.
you kind of made a leap when you said from high school you went on to, after some time, went on to study developing.
Yep.
Did you have any interest in that sort of thing when you were at school?
I not to the degree
Yeah.
of learning it hands-on. So it's funny. I took computer classes and things in school. It was definitely an interest of mine. But nothing was as interesting to me as actually getting in and actually doing the job. Like, you know, I think it just took my life just took a different turn because I had the experience. And I think we were chatting a little bit before we started recording that that I think that happens a lot where you find an interest in it, but then something shifts. And, again, STEM and the tech careers are those are big words, what I thought I would love to do after doing some hands-on, work is I thought I'd love to code. And I didn't even know that project management was an option. I didn't know when I went to school that that was something that people did.
Yeah.
But it is. So I think, part of it too is even if you're a little bit interested in some part of it, just going out and talking to people who are in the career, listening to this podcast to help hear the different perspectives and different jobs that are actually available within the sector. It's going to help you, I think, really understand where it might be fun to get integrated into more of a STEM career.
Wonderful. Do you know, what do you think it is that um appeals to you about the role that you have?
Right now, it's I just get exposure to so many different things every
Mm.
single day.
Yeah.
I can, at one time be talking about, Microsoft Teams, and then the next,
Yeah.
time I'm like sitting and, working through analyzing some data. So I have, every single moment of every single day is just a little bit different. And I think that's really fun. When you have the same job where it's a little monotonous, sometimes you're just that. You're like, oh. But for me, my days are pretty much generally a little bit spread out over different things that I have to support.
Yeah. And there must be problem solving and really thinking things through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, right now, I think we're very fortunate in the way that we have so much data that's
Mm.
coming at us. So I can look at data and be able to analyze it, and that helps make decisions or drive critical conversations that have to occur to make a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is, I think, what people, what students quite frequently can miss, that they've got where everybody in school is going through the same funnel, doing the same things on
Yeah.
repeat.
Yeah.
And the ultimate goal they're seeing behind all of that is to sit their exams. They're not seeing the best of their subjects. And when you're in the workforce and you're choosing what you do, it's completely different. There's things that I did at school that I thought that I hated, and I see them now.
Yeah.
This is brilliant because I don't have to sit an exam.
That's right.
So much more interesting. I guess if you like, that must be lots of your mathematical skills that you're using, and language skills and social skills and all sorts of different
Yep.
things to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All of that every single day.
I love it.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you think, if you kind of went back and did things again, is there anything that you would do differently?
Not necessarily. I think that my journey happened the way that it was supposed to. Think about the pivotal moments where I had to make decisions about potential shifts and what I was doing. And so, I also firmly believe that I've learned along the way, and because I've been able to, take some risks and get exposure into different things, and sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't. But for everything that happened or didn't happen, it was for a reason, and it put me on the path that I have right now, and I love that path.
Yeah, definitely. I'd studied and worked in so many different things, but yeah, exactly as you said, they all, at the very least, you make new connections with different people in the world. So
Absolutely. Yeah,
it's worth
absolutely.
it.
Mhm.
Brilliant. So like, can I ask what kind of encouraged you to make that initial take on that role? That sounds like that would have been a really scary position where you're like not long from high school with a young baby and you went to work in a shop building computers. Personally, that sounds scary, but maybe not so
You
much.
know, I'm also in a small town, and community is key.
Yeah.
And so having that community behind me was just something that I was very fortunate to have as
Oh,
well. And um, it allowed me to grow.
oh,
And
yeah.
I think most leaps have been scary, um, but until you just go get it and go try, and you just kind of take a deep breath and be like, one way or another, something's going to happen here. And so I
Yeah.
think it's worth the leaps. I think that the leaps um, are what bring us joy in the end.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. That highlighted for me what I think was one of the most important things I learned in my career, that um I can't do everything by myself.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
network that you have is what helps you to grow.
You need people. I mean, we all try to do things on our own, and I mean, we can, but isn't it so much better when you've got people with you?
Yeah,
People to celebrate, people to cry, people to help you through every situation. It's so much better when you've got others there to support you.
yeah. I love that. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Is there any other advice that you'd like to share with the youngsters that might be listening to this podcast? There's probably some not youngsters listening to it as well.
I think what I'd love to share is that go if there's something you're interested in, go find somebody who's doing that work. Go to LinkedIn, go Google it, find somebody who's doing something that's interesting to you, and ask them if they'll talk. Most people want to help others, and I think that part of it too is that because um, tech is so big and the world is so big, you don't know where to start. Start with finding out what your options are. Start thinking about what brings you joy, or what excites you, or what sounds cool.
Yeah,
Go find somebody who's doing it. Ask them for 15 minutes, and they'll probably say yes. And go talk with them and learn a little bit about them and what they're doing. And I know it's so scary for people to think, I have to go talk to a complete stranger, but guaranteed a stranger going into a conversation could turn into somebody who could change your life 30 minutes later. So I think that's my word of advice that I would give just about anybody.
yeah. I mean, ultimately, they're a stranger, so if
Yep.
it doesn't work out, you don't have to talk to them again.
And what happens if they say no? You move on to the next person. So just in 2024, I've spent a lot of time doing just that, and I have met some incredible people. And if I was voted quietest in my high school graduating class, and
Oh,
so 18-year-old me talking to somebody across the globe and having a podcasting and talking to so many people on a week would terrify me.
oh,
But as soon as you rip that band-aid off, you find some really good people.
fantastic. Oh, I love that. The quietest in high school, and now you have your own podcast.
Yep.
Amazing. Can you share with us the details of where people can work with you or see more about what you do in your podcast?
Yeah, our website is poweredbyauthenticity.com. And there we have links to the podcast. I've got a little personal blog that I have going on over there. There's a contact form. And really, truly, I'm one of those people that if someone wants to just learn a little bit more about, the work in tech, the work in healthcare IT, talk gender equity and inclusion, anything like that, I'm always going to say yes, because I think people, I love that connection and being able to take the time with individuals.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Emily. That was brilliant. But yeah, hopefully people will come and have a chat with you and learn more well, have a listen to your podcast, which is what I've been
Yeah.
doing. You actually powered me through a 12-hour drive to France recently.
Oh,
So thank you
nice.
very much.
Thank you.
People can come and get in touch and have a look at your website and see what you do. So thank you very much for sharing that. Wherever people are watching us now, they'll be able to see those links underneath us somewhere. Go and have a look.
Perfect.
Well, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest
Awesome.
of your day. It's really lovely speaking with you.
Thank you. I enjoyed this conversation so much.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. All right.
All right. Bye.
Right. Hi, I'm your podcast host, Georgina Green, and the founder of Green Tutors STEM Specialist Tuition Company. We've been supporting students with their GCSE and A-level maths, science and STEM subject studies since 2011, and our team all work and have a passion for STEM professions such as engineering and chemical synthesis and medicines and all sorts of fantastic things in the world of STEM beyond the curriculum, which is what we bring into our lessons to make them more exciting, and the reason I wanted to share this podcast with you all. Alongside that, we've launched the STEM Educators Academy, where other STEM professionals and STEM education enthusiasts can come and learn about how to grow their STEM education practices together. If you're interested in any of the support that we offer, get in touch at greentutors.uk and you can access some of the free resources on there as well. This podcast would not exist without the sponsorship of STEMazing. I'm very grateful to STEMazing, not only for sponsoring our podcast, but for the brilliant work that they're doing, fostering inspiration and inclusion in STEM. I recommend having a look at their website, stemazing.co.uk, which is what you can see right now, to see a bit more about the work that they do. Alongside the award-winning Inspiration Academy, bringing events into primary schools and inspiring young people to see their future in STEM, because you can't be what you can't see. There's a fantastic membership, which I'm a part of, for women in STEM to do more of this, fostering inspiration and inclusion in STEM, with monthly content shared on empowerment, inspiration, and community. That will help you to be a better role model and mentor to people in STEM. And finally, there's a brilliant library here of role models in STEM that you can go and have a look at and hear more about their STEM stories. Here's a shout out for our sponsor, Navigated Tutor. If you haven't seen this, I recommend having a look. If you're in education, the Navigated Tutor platform gives access to a quarterly webinar and magazine and training resources. The first one I've already read and attended, and in minutes learned lots that's going to make a massive impact on the way that I support my students. This is brought to you by Arthur Moore, who is not only a fantastic tutor but also the host of the Tea and Teaching podcast and Tutoring Tips podcast, two of my most listened podcasts. So I recommend that you go and check those out if you're working in education at all, and sign yourself up to the Navigated Tutor platform for some fantastic CPD. You can get access to this at mooreedu.thinkific.com. That's mooreedu.thinkific.com.